A solar flare triggers an R3 radio blackout. Does that mean electricity has gone out across 3 regions? No. NOAA's R scale is not a power grid blackout scale. It describes how intense X-rays from a solar flare can disrupt radio signals on Earth's sunlit side. So what do R1 through R5 actually mean? NOAA's radio blackout scale runs from R1, minor, to R5, extreme. The level is tied to the peak intensity of soft X-rays measured by the GOES satellites in the 1 to 8 angstrom band. R1 begins at an M1 flare, R2 begins at M5, R3 begins at X1, R4 begins at X10, and R5 begins at X20. Those are thresholds, not 5 equal steps. As the X-ray flux rises, the affected area and duration can grow dramatically. Flare X-rays travel at the speed of light and reach Earth in about 8 minutes. By the time GOES detects the flare, that radiation has already arrived. On the daylight side of Earth, the radiation increases ionization in the ionosphere's lower D region. High-frequency radio waves that would normally travel long distances by interacting with the ionosphere can instead be absorbed. The night side is largely shielded because the sun is below the horizon. That is why a radio blackout map follows the moving sunlit hemisphere, not national borders. At R1, high-frequency signals may weaken briefly on the sunlit side. At R2, limited blackouts can last for tens of minutes. At R3, a wide-area high-frequency blackout can persist for about an hour. At R4, most of the sunlit side may lose high-frequency communication for 1 to 2 hours. At R5, the entire sunlit side can experience a high-frequency blackout lasting for hours. Low-frequency navigation signals can also be degraded, with longer outages and larger errors at the higher levels. The people most likely to notice are those who depend on long-range, high-frequency radio, aircraft on oceanic or polar routes, ships, emergency communicators, and amateur radio operators. Operators may change frequencies, use other communication links, or wait for the ionosphere to recover. For most people at home, even a strong R-level event does not mean the lights will flicker. The scale describes a specific radio and navigation problem, not a general shutdown of technology. An R rating does not say whether a coronal mass ejection is heading toward Earth. It does not predict auroras, and it does not rate a geomagnetic storm. The flare's radiation arrives first. A CME is a separate cloud of plasma and magnetic field that may reach Earth days later or miss Earth completely. NOAA uses the G scale for geomagnetic storms and the S scale for solar radiation storms. R, S, and G describe different hazards, even when one solar eruption is connected with more than one of them. So when you see an R3 alert, read it this way. A strong flare has caused a strong radio blackout, mainly on Earth's sunlit side. It does not mean a level 3 catastrophe, and it does not tell us what a CME will do next. R tells us about radio effects from flare radiation that has already arrived. In the next episode, why a huge solar flare can still miss Earth. Subscribe to continue Solar Storm Explained.